Afternoon, Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Wednesday, September the 5th. A lot of news happening. Some of it hadn't quite been completed just yet. For example, former state senator John Woods is in federal court in Fayetteville this morning for a sentencing hearing on his role leading a bribery kickback scheme that sent state money to a little Bible college in Springdale and paid kickbacks to himself and a friend of his and to another state legislator, and in which the college's president was involved. This morning, most of the time was spent on the federal government talking about why the sentence ought to be enhanced, because he's a public official, because it included bribery, because he's a public official, and also because more than $2 million was at issue here. The judge said that they could allow something that didn't come up in this particular trial, and that is another $1 million that John Wood sent to a behavioral health company. That adds a substantial amount to his sentence. His top sentence could be as much as 20 years. He's a first offender. It probably won't be that much, but based on what happened this morning, it could be a lot. The defense is going to present witnesses this afternoon to try to mitigate damages done in the morning to them. Democratic candidates are using this day to take advantage of it to highlight the corruption that's run rampant in state government. Much of it, not all of it, but much of it by Republican office holders. Jared Henderson, the Democratic candidate for governor, has a news conference this afternoon to talk about his ethics reform ideas. Candidates for legislature in Northwest Arkansas who are making a strong and surprisingly robust effort to unseat candidates that are Republican in that Northwest Arkansas stronghold of the GOP have talked about why Republican candidates in that part of the state have some explaining to do about the money went to Ecclesia. A number of them haven't been charged with crimes, but they helped send money to what was, we now know, a criminal enterprise. Brett Kavanaugh continues to be questioned by Democratic senators this morning in his Supreme Court nomination hearing. He has given some pretty artful, dodging answers. He said U.S. versus Nixon was a great Supreme Court decision, but he wouldn't say if he would uphold the precedent in that decision that would allow a subpoena of a sitting president. Would he subpoena Donald Trump? We don't really know. He recognizes Roe v. Wade as a great precedent. Well, indeed it is, but will he honor it? We don't know. He's also been shown up by Senator Patrick Leahy to be somewhat dishonest about the role he had in talking about anti-terrorism activities while he was a Bush White House lawyer. They still face a difficult battle that the Democrats do in trying to stop his nomination because Republicans control the Senate. Here's state government news. The Secretary of State's office has certified that there are enough signatures on petitions to put an amendment on the ballot to expand casino gambling in Arkansas. As yet, nobody's stood up to say they're going to oppose this amendment or to try and have the ballot signatures questioned, as happened yesterday when state corporate interests led by the State Chamber of Commerce filed a lawsuit to knock a minimum wage increase off the ballot. They're using a law that those corporate interests got passed. It makes it exceedingly difficult for paid petition canvassing and campaigns. Canvassers have to have permanent residences. They have to go through background checks. This lawsuit alleges that the canvassers failed to meet some of the ticky provisions. The minimum wage people think they've got enough signatures, but it'll go before court to decide. And another big court suit that has tremendous importance to the people of Arkansas, our Attorney General, Leslie Rutledge, has joined other Republicans in a Texas lawsuit that aims to strike down the entire Affordable Care Act. If they're successful, it will mean the end of required insurance coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. It will end insurance coverage for older children who are put on their adults policy. It'll mean the end of some important coverage for preventive health care and birth control options for women. Be a terrible thing. It would end the Medicaid expansion in Arkansas. It would literally throw hundreds of thousands of people off health insurance, leading no doubt to more illness and even death for some of them. That's our Attorney General of Arkansas at work for you in Texas, despite polling that shows most people, Republicans and Democrats, want the Affordable Care Act to stay in place. Another court case, the city of Little Rock won an 8th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals decision that affirmed a lower court that said the city had acted properly in arresting some abortion protesters who'd disturbed a neighborhood by doing their protesting on a loudspeaker. They thought their constitutional rights were violated. The court said they were not. Tax revenue in the state is robust. For the first 2 months of this fiscal year, we're running well ahead, building up a small surplus. Not so much for the city of Little Rock. Its first 6 months report of the year shows that revenues are about the same, sometimes even a little bit less than last year. If the state is robust and the city isn't, it's not a sign of a robust economy in Little Rock. It could be that a lot of that money is going to suburban cities that we seem intent on helping drive people there faster rather than living in Little Rock. And finally, the State Correction Department talked to the legislature yesterday about a recent spate of prison drug-related deaths. They say they hope it's an anomaly. We do too, but they clearly haven't put a stop to importing synthetic drugs into the system. Guards are bringing some of these and selling some of the drugs themselves, officials acknowledge. It was one more hearing before the legislature at which Wendy Kelly, the State Correction Department director, didn't appear. Will she ever appear in public and answer questions? She's been very elusive. Lots to resist. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.
If you listen to our music, you will feel it. You feel it in here.
The music is surviving, probably more than ever.
We owe it to New Orleans, we owe it to the world to keep it going.
It's a feeling that you have that was deep in you, powerful.
What is Mardi Gras Indian to New Orleans? Mardi Gras Indians is New Orleans.
We created rock and roll. We created swing. You know what I'm saying?